You're listening to the Fan2Fan Podcast, and on this episode, we're doing some Atomic Age monster trivia. Here we go. Welcome back to the Fan2Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bernie Gonzalez. With me, as always, fellow co-host Pete Charbonneau. And Pete, for folks that are tuning in, we love us some monsters and we love us some trivia. In a previous episode, we did cryptid trivia, where we talked about the Loch Ness Monster. We talked about Bigfoot, but we're not done yet. We're moving on to trivia for the Atomic Age monsters.
In an age of wonder, lay the seeds of our own destruction.
The cellular structure, it's grown 500 times its normal mass.
We hit it with everything we have. Must not reach the city.
A time of atoms and nuclear bombs and the war and large mutated, irradiated iguanas in the desert.
Everything's bigger in the 50s and 60s, apparently, thanks to nuclear energy. Let's kick it off. Atomic Age monster trivia. Here we go. Question number 1. As you and I discussed on a recent episode about the creature from the Black Lagoon, Julie Adams, who plays Kay Lawrence, is more than just a damsel in distress and white swimsuit. Unfortunately, given the era, it is still miles away from the kind of screen representation women deserved, but she is an equal part of the expedition into the Black Lagoon. What was her chosen field? Was it marine biologist, animal psychologist, marine ecologist, or ichthyologist?
Science couldn't explain it, but there it was, alive in the deep, deep waters of the Amazon. A throwback to a creature that had existed 100 million years ago, immensely strong and destructive. A woman's beauty, the bait that brought it out of its lair. See underwater thrills never photographed before. See titanic underwater battles never dreamed of before in this most terrifying of the science fiction adventures.
I want to go with ichthyologist. That feels like it sounds like a real thing, and I feel like I've heard it. But I'm going to go with, Occam's razor? The simplest answer is usually the right one. So I'm going to go with marine biologist. I do feel like they did give her at least some level of credibility. But, for all of us prepubescent kids, boys or girls who are watching it, she definitely had the spotlight.
Legs insured by Lloyd's of London for like $25,000. I will insured by Universal as a marketing stunt.
That is a real fact, ladies and gentlemen.
That is real. It's not just trivia. Well, that is trivia, I guess, but it's not just the questions that are being put to the contestants. We're just putting random sources of information out there just because, we like to enhance the show here on Monster Trivia, and that's what we're going to do. So your final answer is marine biologist. Well, your instincts were great in thinking ichthyologist, because the correct answer is that Julie Adams, who plays Kay Lawrence, was an ichthyologist in The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
It was well directed by Jack Arnold and good actors in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. I like the movie too. I really enjoy it. And I think for those reasons, and plus it has the scary element to it. So I think for those reasons, it has survived all these years, and when it's screened again, it has an audience. People like to come and see it again.
Moving on, we go to our next question in the Atomic Age category. Question number 2. So there's a great catchy song at the start of the 1950s version of the Blob. It creeps, it deeps, do-do-do-do-do-do. Hit it, who's our band leader again? Doc, Doc, you hit it.
Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob. Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob. Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall.
there's that famous song. It's very 50s. It's, it's kind of catchy. It's kind of ooky, gooky, spooky, all the ookies and the rhymings. So what we want to know, Bernie, and with, again, multiple choice here, what is the name of the band that performs the title song for The Blob? Is it the Five Blobs, the We Five, the Easy Beats, or Peter, Paul, and Blob?
I feel like I want to go with the Easy Beats because Pete, in this era, Steve McQueen, beatniks, like that makes so much sense. But I actually kind of do know the answer to this one, and I don't know why, but I think it might be related to the fact that there is the theater where the Blob attacks everyone. That same theater still stands, and every year they do a Blob marathon, a Blobathon, and they make like a big deal out of it. I believe friends of the show, Melissa and Chris LaMartina, have also gone there. I think Melissa's alter ego, Aurora Gory Alice, has hosted there. And I think Chris and his band have also played there.
And nothing can stop it. The Blob returns to the Chester County town where the movie was filmed. Phoenixville celebrates its annual Blob Fest tonight at the Colonial Theater. You can catch a viewing of the 1950s sci-fi classic at 7:30, then join a reenactment of the famous run-out scene. The event kicks off a weekend of festival fun, including a street fair on Bridge Street that's tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
The only reason I know this, Pete, is because at some point they were talking about the Blob and this marathon, and I thought this is really cool, and the fact that they've kept this tradition, which then got me to rewatch the movie, the catchy song with the gliding and the things and the leaping. And I do know it's not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 6 minus 1, the 5 Blobs.
Whoa, a lot of math being brought in here, but you are, of course, correct. It is indeed the 5 Blobs. Now, we're thinking the Easy Beats, and the Easy Beats is the name of an actual band, Australian band, just because we are a trivia show, just a added bit of trivia here. The guitarist in the Easy Beats, last name of Young, is the older brother of the Young brothers from AC/DC. So the Easy Beats came out 60s, had a couple of minor hits. Probably the most famous one is Friday on My Mind. And so I try to get some stuff in there to throw a little curveball to see if I can get you to bite, but you would not bite because you are a master trivia player and you get all the points with the 5 Blobs.
You mean that this little pebble's been out there hot rodding around the universe?
Probably big as a moon when it started.
This town is in danger.
Look, Steve, you keep telling me about a monster. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're gonna find this thing, and we're gonna make people believe it. Do I look like somebody's playing a practical joke? Am I laughing?
Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob.
It creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door. The Blob.
You know the song better than I do. I was making up just complete gobbledygook. But we're going to move on to question 3 in the Atomic Age Monster Trivia. You might be surprised to know, you being you, Bernie, or maybe you, the listener out there, might be surprised to know that the 1958 movie Attack of the 50-Foot Woman features a 50-foot woman who, you guessed it, attacks.
Once a normal, voluptuously beautiful woman, she drove into a nightmare of horror and saw descending from the sky a titanic monster whose fearsome touch became a frightful curse. What she saw was beyond belief until others, too, faced its hideous, uncontrollable menace. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, incredibly huge, with incredible desires for love and vengeance.
She's using her sudden height advantage to confront her cheating husband and his mistress. What caused the growth of the 50-foot woman? A sting from an irradiated scorpion, an alien, a super estrogen serum, or a mysterious substance that bubbles up from the ground?
Again, you brought up some amazing choices, Pete, because all of them kind of make sense, especially when we talk about like 50s sci-fi. things coming out from the ground, mysterious substances that make sense. A misunderstanding of women's biology and assuming that you can just introduce certain serums to make them grow to the size of 50 to 50 feet. And also an era that had wars with worlds, Pete. Alien worlds, no less. Some which ventured across the cosmos to our planet, maybe along the way, just happened to, I don't know, turn a woman, not one, not two. This is probably the part where I would add that super speed up kind of, not 48, not 49, but 50-foot woman. So, Pete.
And that's all the time we have for on this episode of Monster Trivia. Thank you for playing.
It is aliens, Pete.
Can we get a ruling on that, judges? Ding, 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 ding. You are correct, sir. It is, in fact, an alien that crash lands in... it's been a while since I've seen it, so I actually don't have all the background on it. I just know that the answer is an alien, because that's what aliens do. They crash land on our planet, and next thing you know, you got 50-foot women running around town.
She'll tear up the whole town till she finds Harry.
Yeah, then she'll tear up Harry.
Police car. We'll try and draw her off. I'll call Baker for help.
And to be fair, Allison Hayes, who plays the titular 50-foot woman, if I remember correctly, I think she's going after her husband or ex-husband or boyfriend. Her motivations are very realistic. It's not, I'm just going to tear, I'm not Godzilla, woke up on the wrong side of Monster Land or Monster Island, and I'm just going to go to Tokyo to pick up some sushi and realize that they raised the prices again. So I might throw a tantrum and maybe stomp a building or two. I think it was her being like, wait, you did me wrong. I caught you with another woman, or it was something that made a lot of sense. But then obviously her boyfriend, ex-husband, had to contend with someone that could easily squish him very easily.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she goes after her, I think it's her husband and his mistress. Again, because of the time that we're dealing with here in the mid-50s or late 50s, she's portrayed as an unstable alcoholic. And so it's supposed to be like woman scorn, but she's kind of crazy. But yeah, like when you see the motivation, you look at it from 2026 eyes, you're like, if you can attack as a 6-foot woman, isn't it kind of cooler to attack as a 50-foot woman? I mean, it's almost guaranteed to come out on top when you're chasing after your cheating husband and his mistress. So
nothing to apologize for. Maybe the property damage, but even then,
that's collateral damage. You know what happens.
Which one of us has not destroyed a building or stepped on a diner or had to pick up a police car because we were trying to show our cheating partner a lesson or two?
Who among us hasn't knocked over several telephone poles? Let he or she cast the first cheating husband out the window. Speaking of stones, let's go to our next question. That's what we call a segue in the business, folks.
Not so rocky, that segue.
We interrupt all radio and television programs. This is an emergency.
Tuesdays.
Do not panic. I repeat, do not panic.
Movies that prove life in the atomic age. Is no picnic.
What do we do now?
Tune into space for big, bold,
It's heading directly for Tokyo.
bugs.
Don't you see? We must disobey them.
Tonight, see Empire of the Ants on Space, the Imagination Station.
Sayonara!
Okay, and we're going to round out the atomic age category here with the final question in this particular category. And although not set in the atomic age, Burt I. Gordon's Cheese Fest Empire of the Ant is a 70s ecological disaster cousin to those flicks with the giant ants getting into Florida real estate development and town government. Because it was the 70s, one of the stars of Chips features in this schlock movie. Which Chips actor starred in Empire of the Ants? Was it Eric Estrada, who played Frank Poncherello, Larry Wilcox, who was his riding buddy John Baker, Robert Pine as Sergeant Cottrell, Randy Oakes, who played Officer Bonnie Clark, or Lou Wagner, who was the mechanic Harlan Arliss, who, side note, also played the nephew of Cornelius and Zira in the original Planet of the Apes.
This one's a tough one, Pete, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen Empire of the Ants, because I feel the answer to that trivia question might be once. When I think of this movie, Joan Collins, that's a no-brainer there. But I don't know. I have to say, from all the guesses that you gave me, I think I would have to go with Robert Pine, because when you mentioned Chips, I think he was the sergeant or the chief or somebody of an authority figure that told the guys when they should put their gloves on and tried to get Eric Estrada not to hit on all those ladies.
Yes, that is the sole, well, not sole, but main job of the sergeant of the California Highway Patrol is to tell the officers to put their gloves on. So you nailed that part. But give him 5 points for that, will you, Connie?
Boom.
Well, your answer to this question is Robert Pine. And Bernie Gonzalez, you are correct. And that's the Chips lead-in, a.k.a. also known as the You Got the Answer Correct music.
I told you we'd be safe. They're gone now.
I'm going to turn the tables on you, Pete. I'm going to go ahead and have you answer a few Atomic Age trivia questions.
What we do here on Monster Trivia is we have wild card rounds, and we've just entered the wildest of wild card rounds because the tables are turned, and I hope to God whatever brain capacity I have left is up to your challenge. But I'm ready. Let's do this.
So as we have found out in our many conversations about Atomic Age monsters, Pete, is that subtlety took a back seat. The titles pretty much told you what you were getting. Honestly, that was part of the appeal. And why bury the lead when you've got a big old giant monster in the title? So we know that the creature at the center of Tarantula that came out in 1955 is a, spoiler alert, a giant spider that's created because of scientific experimentation. In the same year, Willis O'Brien used his stop motion genius to give audiences The Black Scorpion, which, again, spoiler alert, a giant scorpion that's released because of volcanic activity.
This week on Svengoolie,
I identified the poison as that of a scorpion.
Ew, I hope it's not a big one.
It's a gigantic scorpion!
Well, that settles that. It's the Black Scorpion on the next Svengoolie.
That's fantastic, Doc.
1957, we get Attack of the Crab Monsters. You won't guess it, Pete, but I'm going to spoil it for you yet again. Is not about the dangers of pubic lice, but rather it's about a gigantic rampaging crab that's mutated by, you guessed it, radiation. 1958's The Fly is about a fly. In the same year, The Blob is about a blob. And for all of these, all up in your face Atomic Age monster flicks, Pete, there's a few that are not as obvious. So some of the questions that I'll be asking you in this table have turned around wild card segments of our Atomic Age trivia are about these creatures that may not be so obvious. First question for you, Pete. What are the creatures or monsters that are featured in the 1954 Atomic Age film, Them! Exclamation point.
Well, this is one of my favorite Atomic Age movies, so if I don't know the answer to this, forever have me banished from the Monster Trivia game show. Those would be aunts, or as is known on the East Coast, ants.
You got it.
I tell you, gentlemen, science has agreed that unless something is done and done quickly, man as the dominant species of life on Earth will be extinct within a year. Yes, cities, nations, even civilization itself, threatened with annihilation because in one moment of history-making violence, nature, mad, rampant, wrought its most awesome creation. For born in that swirling inferno of radioactive dust were things so horrible, so terrifying, so hideous. There is no word to describe them.
arguably, I think, what maybe people consider the first major, like, big bug, giant insect movie of the atomic age. Helped kick off all of those 1950s creature features. Ants are mutated in a New Mexico desert, and them inspired other mutant or killer ant flicks. The movie you mentioned earlier, Bert Gordon's Empire of the Ants, that came out in 1977, featuring Chip's very own Robert Pine, that was loosely based on a story by H.G. Wells, is all about radiation and waste creates a bunch of giant ants that enslave humanity. The 1974 movie Phase Forward, that one is supposedly a more cerebral take, I guess, by comparison to Empire of the Ants, that is, and is really more about like a highly intelligent ant collective. You've got Legion of Fire, killer ants, ! About a swarm of aggressive ants that threaten a desert community. Surprise, surprise. And maybe the best ant giant radiation monster movie that I could find, Pete, because I love the title. It Happened at Lakewood Manor, a.k.a. Ants.
Robert Foxworth of Falcon Crest joins Myrna Loy, Linda Day George, and Suzanne Summers at a get-together that is surely no picnic.
Mike, we gotta get out of here, look.
Now we're gonna come up there and get you.
How long?
No more than half an hour.
Listen, I don't think we've got 5 minutes.
These ants could ruin a whole city, not just the delis.
All right, Pete, so what is the creature featured in the 1957 Atomic Age monster flick, The Giant Claw?
Was this the Giant Claw? That was the evil organization from Inspector Gadget, correct?
That is correct.
Not anything to do with this movie, of course. Giant Claw was this like the goofy looking, like vulture monster?
You are 100% correct, Pete.
It's bigger than a battleship, faster than a jet plane. It's the flying beast from 17 million years ago. A winged monster attacking the Earth, ravaging city after city. See the spectacular devastation, the unbridled terror of the Giant Claw. A super screen shocker.
It's technically a gigantic alien bird that's described as coming from a quote, because this quote's doing a lot of heavy lifting here, an antimatter galaxy, and it made it purportedly invulnerable to conventional weapons, which becomes a very like atomic age thing with the military fighting off these creatures. But let's just cut to the chase. You remember this movie because of the big old space turkey, because that's what it looks like. It looks like a big bird puppet. It wasn't the only giant bird monster flick, though, Pete, because actually a year before that, one that you would be familiar with in 1956, Rodan was released. Here's one that you may or may not have heard of. And again, talk about amazing titles, Pete, because I only bring you the best titles for movies you may or may not have seen. 1962's The Night of the Eagle, a.k.a. Burn Witch Burn.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when you think of eagle, you're thinking of burning witches. That's just, that's an easy jump for the mind to make.
Burn, witch, burn.
Shocking powers of witchcraft. Powers that can even bring a stone eagle to life.
What creature, Pete, is featured in the monster that challenged the world?
Oof. I'm trying to use my eagle occult powers to have that poster come into clearer focus for me, because that's kind of what I'm remembering it from. I can't even come up with something that mildly comical I'm just blanking on it.
Neither should you, Pete, because the right answer is giant prehistoric mollusks that are awakened by atomic testing that created an underwater earthquake that releases the mollusk, Pete. MOLLUSKS.
An upheaval of nature tears loose a creature out of the nightmare of time. Spawned by an earthquake on the bed of the ocean, a reptilian, earth-shaking beast of the sea. The monster that challenged the world. The most blood-curdling monster of the age.
My last question for you, Pete. What is the creature or the threat, the monster, in the 1957 Atomic Age film, The Monolith Monster?
So funnily enough, Bernie, I recently came back from a vacation out to glorious Colorado. And while I was in Golden, Colorado, there is a school there called the Colorado School of Mines. And they have some dinosaur fossils there. They've got a number of incredible minerals that were dug up out of the earth. Sometimes they have some fossilized rocks even, and other stones and rocks. And the funny thing about that is that I believe that the monolith monsters are in fact rocks.
You are correct, sir. They're giant radioactive growing rocks or crystals that grow when they're exposed to water, and they turn people into stone, which kind of gives them like a Medusa-like horror sci-fi element. So definitely monstrous and kind of fits our Atomic Age trivia.
Just like Ben, their bodies are turned to stone.
What was this amazing power that could turn people into stone? That could suddenly turn inanimate rocks, stones, monoliths into growing, spreading, expanding monsters, threatening to engulf whole towns and cities, to bury all civilization under an immensity of weight beyond all calculation.
Not a traditional monster flick. I think this is probably more in line with The Blob. It's monstrous, but we're talking about something that's not a giant creature type thing. But still, fair game for our monster trivia.
Yeah, always great to throw in some of those more obscure Atomic Age flicks. I mean, I had never heard the Monolith Monsters until Svengoolie brought it up. That would have been completely off my radar otherwise. Well, Bernie, you certainly have turned the tables on me. And, again, here on Monster Trivia, we take the rules, we throw them right out the window because rules are meant to be broken, much like a major city's subway system when a giant behemoth kaiju stomps all over it. So congratulations to you. We have a lovely gift for you. It is the Cuddle Me Kaiju. Take it to bed, take it in the bath. Just don't take it to Japan. Otherwise, the Japanese Defense Force will probably open fire on it. But Cuddle Me Kaiju, hours and hours of entertainment. He's your best friend. He may be your only friend, but he's got your back.
Cuddle me, cuddle you. Cuddle Me Kaiju. He'll love you, true blue. Cuddle Me Kaiju, made by JLB with a partnership with Galoob, is licensed by Toho.
Well, after all that excitement, we're not even going to let the audience a moment to catch their breath because we're diving back into Atomic Age. We've got 3 more questions before we wrap up our game show today, and the tables have been returned, unturned, turned back around 180, 360, and the questions now return to Bernie Gonzalez. Before we get started, though, I want to remind everyone, yes, the radiation's going to cost you, but the mutations are free. Let's get to it. Before he was squashed by a hydraulic press and then by Vincent Price in the garden with a rock, and no, this is not the board game Clue, Andre Delambre was once a promising scientist. Then hubris and a housefly intervened to tragic results in 1958's The Fly that you mentioned earlier. Now, Andre was played by David Hedison, who enjoyed a very long career in film and TV right up to his death in 2019 at the young age of 92. However, Hedison was not listed as David in the credits for The Fly. What name did he go by? Was it Ed Hedison, Head Hedison, Shed Hedison, or Al Hedison?
2 heads are always better than 1, but I feel in this case, we might be able to decapitate that as an option. And the guy could be hairy, but I make no judgments about his follicle production. So I feel like Shed, I'm going to shed that as an option. I don't know. I kind of want to go with Eddie. Fast Eddie.
Fast Eddie Hedison?
That's what I want to go with. It just sounds right.
The fly is in the ointment, but the fly is not in Ed Hedison. I'm sorry, Bernie, you are incorrect. The correct answer was Al Hedison. Al being David Hedison's actual first name. His name, I believe, was Alfred David Hedison, and at some point after The Fly, he just went by David Hedison.
Hello, you out there in the world of the living. This is your favorite horror reporter with the latest film news from the tomb. There you see the Fly. Once he was human, even as you and I. But when you see him now, you'll scream for the rest of your life. But the Fly will be shown in all its cinemascopic horror and terror color by Deluxe because it was such a big hit when previewed at the morgue. Scared everybody stiff.
All right. So we go from The Fly to something else. And it is a full decade before those damned hippies and their reefer wrecked San Francisco during the Summer of Love. The titular It, and It Came From Beneath the Sea, did its own wrecking in 1955. What was it? Was it a sea monster reanimated through a leaking drum of radioactive waste, a giant octopus, an ill-tempered plesiosaur, or Al Hedison?
Okay, well, I'm going to let Al's name rest in peace here. I feel like you've said the word plesiosaur at a different time. Believe you may have said that in reference to talking about Nessie herself, the Loch Ness monster.
I may have.
And he set me up with the drum of radioactive waste. Because, man, talk about a checklist in the atomic age. There was always a drum leaking something radioactive at all times.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like from my memory of this movie, I'm going to go with a giant octopus, Pete. Giant octopus is my final answer.
Bernie's answer is giant octopus. Let's go over to the spectral presence of Al, a.k.a. David Hedison over there. David is nodding. You are correct, Bernie. It was a giant octopus.
A tidal wave of terror engulfs the screen as a raging monster from the dawn of creation attacks the world of man. West Coast reels under Holocaust as the men and weapons of the atomic age battle to the death against the ageless monster of the deep.
I think the octopus in this movie only had 6 tentacles, 8 arms to hold you, 6 to crush the Golden Gate Bridge.
That's all you need.
There you go. All right. We are in the home stretch. We've got one more question to go for atomic age monsters, but be sure to tune back into Monster Trivia, where we're going to have another exciting category for Bernie to tackle as our defending champion. But today we're wrapping it up. Atomic age. Here it is. The final question, Bernie, to you. Just like Hulkamania, beasts were running wild during the atomic age. They came from out of town and just wreaked havoc on cities, towns, and other populated areas. But not all beasts are created equal, or are real movies for that matter. Which of these beastly titles is not an actual atomic age flick? The Beast from Hollow Mountain? The Beast from Yucca Flats? The Beast with 1 million eyes? Or The Beast from the Haunted Mine?
Well, we've had the privilege of chatting with Fan2Fan all-star Josh Pruitt about a certain little movie where he wrote a few ditties, a few riffs, some might say, during his time working on Mr. Science Theater 3000, on a little movie that featured a beast that I imagine, Pete, was no burden to Josh Pruitt, Beast from Hollow Mountain. So Beast of Hollow Mountain, I'm going to go ahead and scratch that one off.
All right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I have seen in my travels beasts with 1 million eyes.
Okay.
And I have seen them traverse the flats of Yucca. So that brings me logically to only one option, one beast, and that is a beast that, I hate to say it, I do not believe may have visited said haunted mine.
David Hedison? David Hedison's nodding his head because, Bernie, you are correct. The answer is, of course, The Beast from the Haunted Mine, not an actual atomic age film. Although it's close, There was a movie called The Beast from the Haunted Cave.
Break trail with 4 men and a girl to the territory of the killer beast. 4 men who live by killing.
A girl who has experienced so much that only sadistic brutality can thrill her.
Vicious and violent men, attempting the most daring of daylight robberies, enjoying midnight revelries, until one orgy turns into a nightmare of terror. Ride the ski lift to the very top in thrills.
All right, Pete, we got one more category to go. Kaijus. We're talking Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, part of Monster Mania. I don't know about you, Pete. It feels like I can hear a few footsteps, maybe in the distance. Feels like maybe there may be a kaiju attack imminent.
Everybody get to the disaster, the shelters. We have an attack imminent. What we're going to do, we're going to ask everyone to just calmly and quietly, in an orderly fashion, just get up from your seats. You'll see Rusty over there in the corners directing people to the shelter. If you get down a couple of levels, we should be able to survive this. We'll be able to come back. We'll be able to finish the show. We've got the kaiju category to come. We're going to bring out, here they are, folks. You thought they were gone. They are not. The 5 blobs are here. They're going to play some live tunes for you. They're going to play you down into the shelter. Hopefully they make it, but frankly, who gives a fuck? We're not worried about that. The check's cleared. They've already been paid. So by the grace of the mighty Sasquatch and Wild Boy, we hope to see you all next time on the next episode of Monster Trivia. Holy shit, the building is shaking, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.